Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. The message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story? Is anonymous. So I used to work in South Africa. I went to South Africa. This was in the year 2011. After a bitter fight with my husband. Things were so hard at that time because it was just poverty, and above it all, my husband was someone who drank a lot of alcohol and he was misusing the money. That was when I decided that let me go and try my luck in South Africa. Unfortunately, when I arrived in South Africa, I then started working for another man, and his wife was never at home because she was working in another province. They were a South African couple. Then with time, the man started abusing me. It was really painful because what he'll do is that late at night he would come into my room, for he had given me an instruction that I was not supposed to lock my room. So I will just see him standing right there next to the bed, and he had forbidden me to use a cell phone whilst I'll be at work. I know that he was scared that I might tell the wife, and then the abuse started. He would pull out his gun each and every time that he would be sleeping with me, placing the gun right next to the pillow where I'll be sleeping on, and then he would threaten me until I fell pregnant, and he forced me to drink grandpa. Just imagine how much grandpa I had to drink so that I can just have a miscarriage. I drank grandpa pills until I got so sick, and when I went to the hospital, I was not okay. I kept on bleeding, and whenever I'll be urinating, the urine would come out with blood, but with time I was okay. That is when I started working for another family as well. So as for this family, they were paying me at least money that was enough. So I was staying in the estates. So since I was staying at their house 24/7, I was able to save enough money. And because of everything that had happened, I started dating a man. I did not want to date or to do anything with a man. And then when I had raised enough money, that was when I returned back to my country with the dream of trying to start a small restaurant. And after I had gotten some money, and then I started my small restaurant, I then spoke with my little sister, and that is when I saw that you should never trust anyone when it comes to business, because the ideas that you might be having, when you trust your relative thinking that they will do what you want them to do, you will be shocked. So I spoke with my little sister and I said, since you are struggling and you and your husband are struggling, this might be an opportunity for you. So I want you to be working at the restaurant with your husband. As for me, I am not going to sit around and wait for the profits from the restaurant. Otherwise, we are not going to be able to grow. What I'll do is that I had some connections with this other friend of mine. Like, we used to teach together at this other school deep in the rural areas there in Mutoko when I was still a teacher before I had retired, because of the money that we were getting paid. So she was now staying in Botswana, and I spoke with her, and she told me that there in Botswana clothes were really cheap, especially your sneakers. So if I was going to come to Botswana and buy, then I would return back and resell them. And she also wanted me to assist her with the logistics and everything. So it was sort of like a partnership. And that was when I made my little sister to work at the restaurant whilst I'll be moving around Botswana and returning back to Zim, and everything was going very well. But as for my little sister and her husband, I really do not know what they thought of me. They started stealing money from me until the business died down. When I confronted my brother-in-law, he ran away and he went to South Africa. As we are speaking right now, they are in South Africa. They just finished me. And as for that place where I was selling the clothes as well as the sneakers, it was not like a very big business, so it crumbled to the ground and I was left with nothing. For the first time in my life, I saw that I had no plan. So whilst I was working and going to Botswana, I was now friends with this other woman who explicitly told me that she was a prostitute. She will go to that place in Harare where they call the Avenues. That is where she used to sell her body. And when I asked her for some money so that I can boost my business, she said that you already have something that can boost your business, in which she meant that I could become a prostitute and sleep with men. So I then started going to the Avenues and I started working as a prostitute. So the very first day, in the first few days when I was working there, I was making a lot of money. But when the customers got used to me, I started losing the clients. Like, the competition was for real. There were other young school students that would come also selling their bodies. So they were the ones that were being preferred by the men. And when I asked one of the women how they were managing to make enough money, that was when Precious, not her real name, told me about some rituals that she used to do. And she said, if you want your clients to keep on coming back like what my clients do, you need to tie them to you. There is a way to do it. She told me that in Lomboshava there was this other traditional healer who could assist me. So on the next cycle, when she was going there, she then went with me to Lomboshava. I had enough money in which I paid $500 so that I can be given the charms that I can use to make my customers keep on coming back to me. So when I was there, I was told that during my menstrual cycle, it will be my duty to collect as much blood as I can, even to put my fingers in there and take as much blood as I can. And then I put it in a small container, including the pads. As for the pads, what I do is that I soak them in water, the ones that I would have removed that will be full of the blood. Then I will take the water that will be mixed with the blood and remove the pads, and then I have to throw them away. Usually what I do is that I can go to another place where no one knows me. Then I will look for those little pathways in the bushes. Anyway, those little pathways cross, then I am supposed to dump those menstrual pads that I would have used. I can drive as far as Chitungisa, wherever where people do not know me, to dump those sanitary pads. And as for the water, that is what I use. Take for an example now, since I have my own place, there are men that do come to my house maybe for a sleepover. Obviously, that person, I have to cook for the guy. Maybe he comes on a Friday night, Saturday, and he will return back to his home Sunday. So all the weekend, I'll be cooking food for him, and I'll be using the water that would be containing my period blood. And my friend told me that this was the only way that I'll be sustainable in this business, since it is very hard. So this is what I have been doing, and it is my confession. I know that there are people out there that are going to be judgmental, but considering the fact that I had to go through a lot from the time that I was raped and the time that my little sister and her husband stole money from me, leaving me dead and broke. What else was I supposed to do? I felt like I did not have any choice at all. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our sister, and that was the translation of the message that she sent to me. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world.